In this video, we are going to build a investment website template using Next.js 14, Tailwind CSS and TypeScript. First, let me show you the full demo of this website template. So if I refresh here, you can see a beautiful animation is happening inside our project. So if I refresh again, you can see the animation. Then in the top, we have a logo, a nav link with hover effect and a login button. So if I hover over the login button, see what happened. So you can see a beautiful hover animation is happening here. Then we have some text and an image. And if I scroll here, you can see next we have the about us section with scroll animation. So if I show you again, if I reload the page, you can see this animation, and if I scroll here, you can see this scroll animation is happening in our about us section. Then we have this feature section with scroll animation and a hover effect. Then we have our pricing section with 3 price card. Here we have the same button with same hover animation. Then we have this advantage section. Then we have our top investor section with scroll animation. Then we have this beautiful client review section where you can slide from left to right, right to left. And this slider has a auto sliding feature also. You can see the slider is sliding automatically. Then we have this latest block section where we have 3 blocks, and finally we have a beautiful footer section. And here you can see a button, and if I click here, it will bring us to the top. So we are going to build this feature also in our project. So you can see first it's hidden. So if I scroll some distance, then it will appear, and if I click here, it will bring us to the top. So we are going to build this feature also. And the most important thing about this project is this is fully mobile responsive. So if I show you first a mobile devices, here you can see we have now a burger menu. So if I click here, a sidebar will open with the nav link, and if I click here, it will close the sidebar. You can see it's coming to the screen with a beautiful sliding effect, and if I click the cross button, it will close with the same sliding effect. You can see the hero section fit perfectly in the mobile view. Then we have this about us section which also fit perfectly. Then the features section, then the pricing section, our advantage section, our top investor section. Every section is fit perfectly in the mobile view and it looks very nice. And you can see the slider also working properly. We have the block section and then the footer. You can see it looks very professional. And if I click here, it will go to the top, which works properly. And if I show you the another device type like iPad mini, you can see in this screen sizes the nav also working, and hero section fit perfectly. You can see other section also fit perfectly in the iPad screen size. So you can see top investor, the client review, the blog and the footer. So this is our project. In this tutorial, I am going to explain you every step of how to initialize a Next.js project, how to structure your file, how to build reusable component, how to make your website fully responsive with Tailwind CSS, how to use TypeScript in your project, and finally, I'm going to show you how to deploy your project in Vercel so that you can share your project link with your client or add to your resume. And the starter file and the full source code of this project will be given in the description. And if you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. Now let's start our project. First, we are going to set up our project. For this, I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to name it investment template. And then I'm going to open this folder using Visual Studio Code. And then I'm going to open a new terminal and then I'm going to open my browser and search for Next.js. And then I'm going to open the installation page, and here you can see a npx script to initialize a Next.js project. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and I'm going to add a dot slash so that this Next.js project is initialized in the folder that we created, which is investment template. And I'm going to enter now. Now it will initialize our project, and now it asked me, would you like to use TypeScript? Yes, we are going to use TypeScript. We are going to use ESLint. We are going to use Tailwind CSS. We do not need the source directory. Yes, we are going to use the app router, and we do not need to customize our import alias. Now I'm going to hit enter, and it will now installed all the packages that needed to run a Next.js 14 project. Now let's wait for the installation to finish. The installation is successful. Now we are going to customize our project. So first, go to the tailwind.config.ts and remove this extend part. So we do not need this, and hit save. Then this app folder is our main folder. We are going to work on this folder. First, go to the global.css and remove this. So we do not need this styling here, and we are going to work on the layout file a little later. First, go to the page.tsx. So this is the main page. So if you go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear. Now I'm going to remove all of this, and I'm going to use a extension. Let me show you the extension. So I'm going to use this extension called ES7 React Redux React Native Snippet to create component boilerplate. So for this, I'm going to write RAFCE and then hit enter, and I'm going to change the name to homepage, and this is our homepage. I'm going to add some Tailwind class name. So first, I'm going to add text rate 900 and text forty pixel, and then I'm going to run npm run dev to check if our Tailwind CSS is working properly or not. So go to the browser, and here use localhost 3000, and let's see if our Tailwind CSS is working properly or not. So you can see our color change, and we have a bigger font sizes. So our Tailwind is working properly. So here we do not need this class name. So here we are going to use a overflow hidden. So we do not want any overflow in our application, and I'm going to hit save. Now we are going to customize our font. So go to the layout folder. So this is the main layout of our project. So here you can see we have a lot of things. So in Next.js 14, we have Google font integrated automatically. So here you can see is import the inter font from Next font Google. But we are not going to use the inter font. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to search for Poppins. So I'm going to use Poppins font for this project. And then here I'm going to change the constant name, and I'm going to give the name of font. And here I'm going to remove this and use the Poppins font, and we have to pass some parameter. First is the font weight. So for the font weight, I'm going to use the 100, 200, 300, 400. Basically we are going to use all of this. 700, 800, and finally 900. Then we have to pass another parameter, which is subset. So for the subset, I'm going to use the Latin, and then here in the body, the class name, we are going to use the font dot class name. So this is our font. If I check, you can see this is our home page, and if I inspect and hover on the page, you can see the font is popping. Next, here we have some metadata. So this metadata is very important for the SEO purposes. So in metadata for the title, I'm going to give the title of investment template, and for the description, investment template using Next.js 14. You can use your own description for this, and it is very important for the SEO purposes. So now if I check, here you can see the title change here, and it's now investment template. So our font and metadata is already working. Next, we need some icons for our project. For this icon, I'm going to use React icon. So search React icon and go to their GitHub pages. And here you can see they have a lot of icons to use. So I'm going to click here in the npm, and then I'm going to copy this npm script, and then I'm going to split my terminal, and here I'm going to install the React icons. It will install the React icons in our project. So it's completed. Then we need some images for our project. So for this, I'm going to create a new folder in the public folder, and I'm going to name it images. And here I'm going to copy some images that we are going to use in this project. You will get these images in the starter file, and the starter file is in the description. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it in our image folder. So now we do not need this. So these are some of the images that we are going to use in our project. Then in the app folder, I'm going to create another folder, and I'm going to name it component. And inside this component, I'm going to create another folder which is home, where we are going to create our home page related component, and another I'm going to create a helper folder where we are going to create our helper component. Now in the home folder, I'm going to create a file called home.tsx, and I'm going to use RAFCE to create the home. And in this home component, we are going to add our all home page related component like the client review, the hero section, and other section we are going to add in this component. And then I'm going to add this component in our main home page. So here we are going to use our main. In our main home page, we are going to add our home component. So like this. And in this folder, we are going to add our all home page related component. Now if I check, you can see it's home now. So this is the setup for our project. Now we are going to build our Navbar. So if I show you the Navbar, then here we have a logo, then some nav links, and we have a login button. So to build this Navbar, I'm going to create a new folder in my home folder, and I'm going to name it navigation. And inside the navigation folder, I'm going to create three files. One is nav.tsx. Here we are going to write code for our desktop navigation bar. So I'm creating the component boilerplate. Then we have another component for mobile nav.tsx, which will be our mobile navigation bar. So I'm going to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to create another file called responsive nav.tsx. Here we are going to add our nav and mobile nav, and also add the logic for the responsive navigation bar. So I'm going to create the component boilerplate, and this is the responsive nav. Now I'm going to add this responsive nav bar in our layout folder so that all page have this nav bar attached to it. So I'm going to add this responsive nav here. So responsive nav, and after the responsive nav we have our page content. So if I save here, and here you can see responsive nav, and now in responsive nav we are going to add our nav bar, and then we are going to add our mobile number. So mobile number. Now if I show you the result, now you can see we have nav and mobile number. So first we are going to start with the desktop navigation bar. So for this, the first div have a class name of height of 12 VH and a background color of hash 62269D, and we are going to use a shadow of medium. Now if I show you, so this is our navbar, then we have another div, and this div have a class name of width 85%, flex, then we have item center, justify between, margin will be auto, and height will be 12 VH. So we are making it a flex component. So one flex item will be this logo, one is this nav links, and one for the login button. So inside this div we have our logo. So I am going to comment this logo, and then we have h1, and inside this h1 we have a span. In span we have in, and then we have investor. So for the h1 we have a class name of text 16 pixel. In medium screen text will be 25 pixel. Then we have font of bold. Here we have need to give a space, so font bold. Then we have text white, and for the span we have a class name of text 27 pixel, text yellow 300. That's it. So now if I show you, so this is our logo. So here we have our N in small letter, and here we have capital letter. Here we have text 27 pixel. Now if I show you, so somehow this text property is not working. Text 27 pixel. So text 27 pixel will be for the mobile, but in medium screen text will be 40 pixel. Now it will look good. So now it's looking good. This is our logo. You can use any images as a logo for your website. I am just simply using some text as a logo for our website. So that's our logo. Then we have our nav links. So for this, first we have a UL, and inside this UL we have an LI, and inside this li we have a link from next link. We are going to import link from next link, and the first one will be home, and here we have to pass the href. The href will simply be slash. Now for the ul we have a class name of hidden in smaller devices, and in large screen it will show up and it will be flex, and the items will be center, SpaceX will be 10. Now for the li we have a class name of text 17 pixel, cursor pointer, then we have text yellow of 300. Now if I save and check, so this is our one icon which is home. This is the default page, that's why it's in yellow. Here you can see it's yellow. Here we also have a font semi-bold, so now it's looking good. Now we are going to copy this li 4 more times, 5 more times. The next one will be about, then we have investment, then we have services, then we have blog, and finally we have contact. So now if I hit save and show you, so this is our nav links, but after the home all of this will have a text of white. In hover text will be yellow 400. Now if I save and show you the result, you can see it's looking very nice. So it will be contact, and that's it. Next we have our login button. So here I'm going to comment and write it login button. So after the ul we have a div, and here we have a class name of flex, item center, and justify, and SpaceX will be 4. We are using the SpaceX because here we are also going to use our Navbar menu, burger menu. And one thing that is, here in all the nav links, nav li, after the home we are going to use a transition all, and duration will be 200 milliseconds. So we have some transition effect in our Navbar. So here you can see now it's look very nice. So then inside this div we have the button. So here it will be login button and Navbar menu, and now this is the login button. So login button, and this button have a class name of rounded, then we have px of 10, py of 2.5, overflow will be hidden. We are using the group, then bg yellow 500, then in hover it will be bg gradient to pg gradient to r and hover from yellow 500 and then hover to yellow 400. Then we have a relative text color will be white. And then in hover we have a ring of 2. In hover we have a ring offset 2, ring offset 2. In hover we have ring yellow 400. Then transition will be all, is out, and then we have the duration of 300. Then inside this button we have another span, and in this span we have a class name of absolute. Then we have right 0, w will be 8, h will be 32, minus empty 12, transition all, duration will be 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. Then we have the transform. Then we have translate x12, bg will be white, opacity will be 10, rotate will be 12, and in group hover we have minus translate x40, minus translate x40, and it will be an is. And then we have another span, we have another span, and it will be login, and the class name will be relative. So that's it. Now let's check. So you can see our button and hover effect works perfectly. Then we have our menu button. So after this button we have our menu bar, or you can say burger menu. Here we are going to use an icon which is FA bars, and this is going to coming from the React icon library. Then these icons have a class name of width 8, then height will be 8, text white, and cursor pointer. Now if I show you, so this is our burger menu, but it will be hidden in large screen devices. So in large screen it will be hidden. So that's it. So this is our desktop navigation bar. So here you can see the burger menu will show in the smaller screen sizes. Next, we are going to work on the mobile navigation bar. So in the mobile navigation bar, the first div have a class name of W8, H8, no, sorry, class name. So first one we are going to use transform, then we have transition all. Here we are going to use our sliding sidebar, that's why we are using a transition property. Then the duration will be 500 milliseconds. It will be a fixed position. Top will be 0, left will be 0, z index will be 200, height will be screen, right will be 0, bottom will be 0, and then background color will be #29207F. So this will be our navigation screen. Then we have our close icon. So here we have a FA Xmark icon which coming from the React icon, and it is a class name of W8, H8, absolute, top 8, then text will be white, Z will be 202, higher than this one because it will be need to be shown. Then we have right of 80. So this is our cross icon. So by clicking this, we are going to close the sidebar. Then we have our nav link. Here we have the UL, and the UL have a class name of relative. Z will be 201, space Y will be 10, flex will be in the column direction, items will be center, justify center, and height will be full. Here we have our li, and inside this li we have our link with home and the href, and we are going to import the link from next link, and the href will be just slash. For the li we have a class name of text 25 pixel. Text will be 25 pixel. Then we have cursor of pointer. Text color will be white. In hover, text color will be yellow 300. Transition will be all, and duration will be 200 milliseconds. So if I save here, so this is our first link. So I'm going to copy this 5 more time. So first home, then we have about, then we have investment, then services, then we have blog and contact. So let's check. So this is our mobile navigation bar. Now we have to build the logic for this responsive navigation bar. So for this, I'm going to open the responsive navigation file, responsive nav file, and here first I'm going to convert this component into a client component by using use client. So in React, in Next.js 14, all the component is by default the server component, and we do not use use effect and use state in our server component. To use the use state and use effect, we have to convert the component into a client component, and we convert a component in client component by using the use client text in the top of the component. So now it's a client component. So here we have to declare some state variable. So first const shownav comma set shownav, and then equal to use state, and initially it will be false. Then we have shownav handler, which will set shownav to true, and we have another function to close nav handler, which will set the shownav to false. Now we have to pass these props in our nav and mobile nav. So first in the nav, we are going to pass our open nav props, which will be show nav handler, and for the mobile nav, we are going to pass out the status of the nav, which is show nav, and then we are going to pass the close nav, which is close nav handler. Now we have to receive these props in our nav and mobile nav, and we have to give them a proper type definition, and then add this type in our component. So for this, in the Navbar, here we are going to give a comment of props type. So here we are going to use the type, and it will be props, and here we are receiving open nav, which is a function that return void. Now we have to pass this in our component props, and here I am going to import the open nav, and when we click on the burger menu, we are going to open our navbar. Now we have to open the mobile nav, and here we are going to give a comment of props type. So we are going to use type props, and here we are receiving a nav property which is type of boolean, and then we are receiving a close nav function which is a function that returns void. Now I'm going to pass this in our component, and here I'm going to import the close nav and nav. Now based on this nav status, so if the nav is open or the nav is closed, we have to apply certain styling in our mobile nav component. So if the nav is show, then we are going to show this mobile nav bar. Otherwise, we are going to hide the mobile nav bar. For this, I am going to create a constant here, and I am going to name it nav open style, and here I am going to check if the nav is true, then we are going to show the navbar which is translate x0. Otherwise, we are going to hide this component by using translate x minus 100%. Now we are going to add this in our main div. So here we are going to use a custom variable, that's why we are converting this a template literal syntax. So here I am going to remove the double quote, and here I'm going to add the nav open style. So that's it. Now let's check if it's working or not. So this is our navbar. So if I click here, it will open the sidebar, and if I click here, it will close. It's not implemented yet. So next, so when we click on this close icon, we are going to close our navbar. So now if I click here, it will close the navbar and open and close. You can see the animation is very smooth here. And if I click here, this is the desktop version of navbar, and this is the mobile version. So everything is working perfectly. So our navbar is completed. Now we are going to build our hero section. So if I show you the hero section, so this is our hero section where we have some text, some description, a input box, and then a image. To build this hero section, I'm going to create a new folder inside our home folder, and I'm going to name it hero. And inside this, I'm going to create a file called hero.tsx, and I'm going to use the RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home component. So here I'm going to add our hero. So if I show you, you can see here we have our hero text. Then for the first div, we have a class name of, in large screen, the height will be 88 VH, background will be hash 62269D. Then in medium screen, height will be 80 VH. In small devices, height will be 75 VH, and in extra small devices the height will be 70 weight. Then we are going to define this as a flex. The item will be center, justify will be center, and we want the flex direction to column, flex col. So this is our first div. Then we are going to define our grid system. So define grid system. Here we are going to use grid to separate these two elements. So for this, here we have another div with class name of grid. Grid calls will be 1. In large screen, grid call will be 5. So in large screen, we are going to divide this full space in 5 parts. Then items will be center, width will be 4 by 5, which is 80%. Then mx will be auto. Now inside this div, we first have the text content. So this div is for the text content, and here we are going to use a class name of calls span2. So for the 5 part, we are going to give this div a 2 part. Then we have our image content. So for the image div, we are going to give this call span of 3. So 3 and 2 will be 5. Now we are going to work on the text content. So inside this div, we first have a h1. So for the text of this h1, I'm going to copy it from our deployed site. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it here. But this investment will be in separate span, because this investment will have different color, which is text yellow for 300. And this h1, we have a class name of text 27 pixel. In medium screen, text will be 35 pixel. In large screen, text will be 40 pixel. Margin bottom will be 4. Font will be bold. Text will be white. Leading will be 2.4 RAM in small device, and in medium screen devices the leading will be 4 RAM. That's it. So if I check, so this is our heading. Then we have a p tag. Here I am going to generate some random text using the lorem ipsum generator. So let me show you the extension. So this is the extension, which is lorem ipsum, to generate some random text in your website. It is very helpful to generate some random content for your website. So here for the p tag, we have a class name of, in medium screen, text will be 17 pixel. Otherwise text will be 15 pixel. Margin bottom will be 8. Text color will be white. Opacity will be 90. Font will be normal. So if I check, so these are heading, not heading, these are description. Then we have these inputs. So here we have our input box. So we are going to declare a div. This div have a class name of width full, height will be 14. Then we're going to use relative, rounded full, background will be BG blue 950. Then inside this we're having an input, so input type text, and placeholder will be enter your email, and this input have a class name of BG transparent. Then height will be full, margin left will be 8, text will be white, outline none, and width will be 90%. So if I save, so this is our inputs. Then we have our submit button. So after this div we have our submit button. So button, the text will be submit, and this button have a class name of px4 py2, width will be 40%, in BG will be blue 500, and in hover the background will be changed from BG blue 500 to BG blue 700. Transition all, duration will be 150 millisecond. Then rounded will be full, margin top will be 4, and text white. Now let's check. So this is our submit button, which looks very nice. Next we have the image. So for this I'm going to import the image in the top. So import image, so hero image from slash public slash images slash hero.png. So this image content div, first we have the callspan 3, and it will be hidden for small devices, extra small devices, and then small devices it will be block, mx will be auto, and here we have our image. So I'm going to use our Next.js image component. Then we have our source is hero image, the alt tag we have hero, and that's it. So if I show you the result, so this is our image, and this hero section looks very nice. Now let me show you the responsiveness. So here if I select a mobile devices, you can see it fit perfectly. So in different types of mobile devices it looks very nice. And if I select here the iPad mini, you can see it also looks very decent in the iPad mini. So our hero section is responsive for different screens. So our hero section is completed. Next we are going to build this about us section, where we have a section heading and some text content and an image. To build this section, first I'm going to create a separate component in my separate folder in my home folder. So then I'm going to name it about, and inside this I'm going to create a file called about.tsx, and I'm going to use the RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add it in our home component. So about section. Now if I show you, so here you can see we have our about text. Now go to the about.tsx file, and the first div have a class name of padding top of 20, padding bottom of 16, and background color will be hash 001232. If I show you now, so these are about section. Next we have our section heading, and we are going to use our section heading for our rest of the section. That's why I'm going to create a helper component for our section heading. So for this, in the helper folder, I'm going to create a new file called section heading.tsx. So I'm going to use the RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and here we are going to receive some props. So type props. Here you can use interface also, but for this project I'm going to use the type. So here we are going to receive a heading which is of type string. Now here I am going to pass our props, and I'm going to import our heading. And for the first div we have a class name of text center, then we have p padding of 3, then inside this we have a h1 with our heading, and then we have a class name of text 22 pixel. In medium screen text will be 30 pixel, then text color will be white, font will be semi-bold. Then we have another h1 for our subheading. I'm going to copy the subheading text, so we are going to use this text for our subheading. You can use different text and you can receive another prop for the subheading, but I'm not going to do this. I'm going to use this hard-coded subheading, and this h1 have a class name of text 15 pixel, margin top of 1, then in medium screen text will be 17 pixel, text color will be white, and text opacity will be 70, and that's it. Now go to your about section, and here we are going to add our section heading, and we have to pass a prop which is heading, and for this it will be about us. So if I save and check, so these are heading. Then we are going to define our grid system, because we are again use the grid system for this. So define grid system. So div class name width will be 4 by 5, which is 80%, Then margin top will be 14. Items will be center not end. In medium, margin top will be 20. MX will be auto. Then we are going to define our grid. Grid calls will be 1 for small devices, and in large screen grid calls will be 2, and gap will be 12. Then here we also have our text content. So this div is for the text content, and then we have image content. This div is for the image. So first let's work on the text content. So inside this div we have h1, and I'm going to copy the text content. So this is the content. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Then after this h1 we have a p, and I'm going to copy this text from here and paste it here. So here we have a ESLint error, which is not important. And here for the h1 we have a class name of text 19 pixel. In medium screen text will be 25 pixel. Font will be semi bold. Text color will be white. And for the p tag we have a class name of text white. Text opacity will be 60. And then margin top will be 4. Now let's check. So these are heading and these are text. Next we have this list. So after this we have a div. I can give this icon list. So icon list item. So first div we have a class name of flex, then margin top of 8, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 4. So inside this we have our icon box. So this is the icon box div, and then we have our text content. So these are icon text content. You can give better comment if you have any idea. So for the first div we have a class name of width 12, height 12, rounded full, bg ping 700, flex, items will be center, then it will be in flex column direction, and justify will be center. Inside this div we have a icon. So for the first one we have bs check to square icon, which is coming from the React icon, and this icon have a class name of width 1.3 RAM, height 1.3 RAM, and text color will be white. Now if I check, so this is our icon box, which looks very nice. Then for the text, here we have H1, this license and certified. And then we have a P. Here I'm going to use logarithm generator. So the H1 we have a class name of text 16 pixel, MD text will be 22 pixel, text color will be white, and font will be Femibold. And for the P we have a class name of margin top of 2, margin top of 1, then we have text of 15 pixel, text color will be white, and text opacity will be 70. So now if I check, so these are first list item, we have 3 more, so I'm going to copy this 3 times. So this, two times. So this is the item 1, then this is the item 2. Here we are going to change the icon. Here we are going to use a BI money icon, which also coming from the React icon. And here for the H1 we have savings and investment. This is the item 3, and here we are going to use another icon, which is GI security gate, and the text here will be 100% secure investment. So now if I check, so you can see it looks nice, but we have different background for this. So now I'm going to change this. So for the second icon we have BG blue of 700, and for the third one we have orange 500. BG orange 500. So if I save, now it's look very nice. Next we have the image. So for this I'm going to import the image at the top. So here import about image from slash public slash images slash about.png. Now here image content Inside we are going to have our image. So I'm going to use the Next.js image component. The source will be about image alt. I'm going to use the about, and that's it. If I save and check, so these are about image. Now if I show you the responsiveness, so for a mobile phone device you can see everything fits perfectly, and if I select different types of device you can see it's fit perfectly, and for the iPad mini it also looks very nice. Our about us section is fully responsive and our about section is completed. Next we are going to build the feature section. Let me show you the feature section. So this is the feature section where we have 4 feature card with hover effect. To build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home folder, and I'm going to name it feature. And inside this folder I'm going to create a new file called feature.tsx. And here I'm going to use the shortcut to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home component. So feature, and now if I show you, so here you can see we have the feature text. Then for the first div we have a class name of padding top of 20, padding bottom of 16, and bg will be hash 032055. If I save, you can see here we have our feature background applied. Then inside this div we have the section heading. So for this I am going to import the section heading, and here we are going to pass our cross heading, which is why choose us. So if I save, you can see now we have our section heading. Then we are going to define our grid system, because we are going to use the grid system here to create 4 separate cards. So grid system, for the div we have a class name of width 4/5, which is 80%. Then we have mx of auto, margin top of 16. Then we have grid. Grid calls will be 1 for smaller devices, and in large screen grid calls will be 2, and extra large grid call will be 3. Not 3, grid calls will be 4, and we have gap of 12, and items will be center. Inside this div, now we have our first feature item, first feature card. So here we have a div. Inside this div we have another div with class name of padding of 6, cursor will be pointer. In hover we are going to apply a scale of 110. Then we are going to apply transition all. Duration will be 300 milliseconds. Background will be orange 600, and rounded will be MD, and then we have shadow of MD. Then inside this div we have an icon. So for the first one we have FA money build, and this icon have a class name of mx will be auto, margin top will be 8, width will be 16, height will be 16, and text color will be white. So this is our icon. Then we have h1. The text will be fast, profit, and for this we have a class name of text base, which is text 16 pixel. Then text will be center, margin top will be 8, margin bottom will be 4, in medium text will be LG, not LG, we're going to apply Excel. Then we have text of white, and we have font of semicolon. So if I say and show you, so here we have our box and icon, and then we have this title. Then after this h1 we have a p tag with some dummy text, and this p tag have a class name of text center, text will be white, and text opacity will be 70. So now if I check, so this is our first card with hover effect. Next we have 3 more. So for this I'm going to copy this first one, 3 more time. So this is our first, and this is our second. For the second we are going to change the icon. Here we are going to use FA piggy bank, and then for the title here we are going to use instant with pro. Then for the third one we are going to change the icon to, and for the second one we are going to apply a background of red 600. So bg red 600. Now for the third one we are going to apply a background of green 600, and we are going to change the icon to FA money bill transfer, and the title will be multi currency. And for the fourth card, so this will be second, this will be third, and this one will be fourth. For the fourth card the icon will be BI support, and then the background will be BG Indigo 900, and for the title will be customer support. So now let's check. So this is our forecard, which looks very nice, and they have the hover effect. Now if I inspect to check the responsiveness and I select a mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it fit perfectly. You can see it fit perfectly, and for the iPad devices it also looks very nice. So our feature section is completed. Next, we are going to build the pricing section. So this is our pricing section where we have three price cards. So to build this, I'm going to create a separate folder in our home folder, and I'm going to name it price. And inside this, I'm going to create a new file called price.tsx. And here I'm going to use the component boilerplate to create the I'm going to use the shortcut to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home component. So here I'm going to use the price. Now if I show you, here you can see we have the text. Now for the first div, we have a class name of padding top of 20, padding bottom of 16, and then we're going to apply a background of hash 5507 E1. So this is the background for this pricing section. Then we have our section heading. Section heading, I'm going to give a comment, and then I'm going to import the section heading component from our helper. And here we're going to pass our heading, and it's our pricing. Then again we are going to define our grid system. So this tip, we have a class name of width 4x5, which is 80%. MX will be auto. Grid calls of 1 for small devices, and in large screen we have grid calls 2, and in extra large we have grid calls of 3, and we have gap of 12 and margin top of 16. Then inside this div we are going to have a div, and here we're going to have a price card component. We are going to build a reusable price card component for this section. So let me first create this component. So in the price section, we are going to create another component called price card.tsx, and I'm going to use the RAFC to create the component boilerplate. And here inside this div, I'm going to use our price card. So in this price card, we are going to pass some parameter, some props. So the first prop we are going to pass is the background. So for this one, for the first one, we have, so you can say this price card 1. So for the first price card, we are going to give a background of till 700. We are passing the full background color name in the Tailwind CSS. Then we are going to pass the days, which is 20. Then we are going to pass percentage, which is 100. If I show you this, you can see our investment card, pricing card has this days, this percentage, this minimum invest and maximum invest. So we are passing this as a props for our price card. So percentage 100, then we have mean invest, which is 100 for this. Then we have max invest, which is 1000 for this card. Now we have to receive this props and give this the proper type definition and then add it to our price card component. So for this I am going to, here you can say the props type. So here we are using type props, and here we are receiving a background as a string, then we are receiving days as a string, then we have percentage, which is type of string, then we are receiving mean invest, type of string, and then max invest, which is type of string. Now we are going to pass this in our price card component, and I'm going to import the background, days, mean invest, max invest, and percentage. So that's it. Then for the first div we have a class name, and here we are using a template literal because we are going to add a custom variable background here. So first we have the background, then we have padding of 6, text of center, then rounded will be LG, then we have H1, here will be after, and then the days variable, so for this H1 we have a class name of text 17 pixel, font will be bold, in medium text will be 20 pixel, text color will be white, margin top will be 8, and then after this H1 we have another H1 with percentage, and then the percentage symbol. So this H1 have a class name of width 4 by 5 means 80%, mx will be auto, background will be orange 600, text color will be white, text will be 23 pixel, font will be bold, padding will be 4, rounded large LG, margin top will be 6. So if I save and let's check, so these are pricing section, days and percent, then we have the minimum invest and maximum invest. So after the H1 we have another H1 with minimum invest, and here we are going to use our mean invest, and then another H1 for maximum invest, and here we have our max invest. And for this H1, this both H1 we have a class name of margin top of 4, text 17 pixel, text white, and margin bottom will be 4. If I save, So these are minimum and maximum invest. Then we have this deposit button. So for this I'm going to copy our this button style. So then we have a div with class name of text center, margin top will be 8. And now I am going to open my Navbar, and here I am going to copy this button. If you want, you can create a separate helper component for this button and then reuse it. So I'm going to open the price card, and here I'm going to paste the button, and the text will be deposit with a dollar sign. Now if I check, so these are one price card, so it's looking very nice. Now go to the price section and then copy this two more times. So this is our second price card. Here we have to change some of our props. So for the background it will be BG rate 900, days will be 30. Let's keep this percentage of 300, 3000, and this will be our third. Background will be BG green 900. Let's say it's 50, 50, 500, 500, and 5000. So if I save and check, so these are other two cards which looks very nice. Now let me show you the responsiveness of this price card. So if I inspect and select mobile devices, you can see it's fit perfectly, and in iPad it's also fit very nicely. So our pricing section is completed. Next we are going to build our advantage section. So here you can see this is our advantage section. This is very simple section where we have an image and some text. So for this I'm going to create another folder in my home folder, and I'm going to name it simply advantage, and inside this I'm going to create a new file called advantage.tsx, and here I'm going to use the shortcut to create component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home folder. So advantage. Now you can see the advantage text. Then for the first div we have a class name of padding top of 20, padding bottom of 16, background will be hash 001232. Then we have our section heading. Section heading. I'm going to import the section heading component, and then for the heading we are going to use our advantage. So if I save and let's check, so these are heading. Then we are going to define our grid, define grid system, and here we have a div with class name of width 4/5, which is 80%, margin top of 14, items will be center, in medium margin top will be 20, mx will be auto, and then we have grid calls of 1 for small devices, and in large screen it will be grid calls 2, and gap will be 12. Then inside this div we have text content. So this div is for the text content, and then we have image content, and then we have another div for the image content. So for the text content div, inside this div we have h1. So let me copy the text. So this is the text. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here, and this h1 have a class name of text lg, in medium text will be 2xl, and font will be semi bold, text color will be white. Then after this div, after this h1 we have a p tag. So here I am going to generate some random text using the lorem ipsum extension. This p have a class name of text wide, text opacity will be 60, and margin top will be 4. Then we have another p tag, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here and reduces some context. So that's it. Now if we check, so this is our content. Then we have the image. So for this I'm going to import the image. So import advantage image from slash public slash images slash advantage.png. So now in the image content section div, we are going to have a image component from next image, and the source will be advantage image, and alt will be advantage. So that's it. Now let's check. So these are advantage image. Now let's check if this is responsive or not. If I inspect, so in iPad mini you can see it fit nicely, and in mobile devices it also looks very nice. So our advantage section is completed. Next we are going to build the top investor section. So this is the top investor section where we have 4 investor, top investor and their profile. So for this I am going to create a new folder inside the home folder, and I'm going to name it investor, and inside this I'm going to create another component called investor.tsx, and I'm going to use the component boilerplate using the shortcut, and then I'm going to add this in our home component. So investor. So here you can see we have the investor text. Next, for the first div we have a class name of padding top of 20, padding bottom of 16, and background will be hash 32032.055, and then we have our section heading. So I'm going to import the section heading component, and here I'm going to give a props heading, which is our top investors. So now if we check, so this is our top investors section heading. Then we are going to define our grid system. Define grid system. So here we have a div with class name of width of 4 by 5. Then we have margin top of 16. Image will be auto, and then grid, and then grid calls will be 1 for small devices, and large screen grid calls will be 2, and in extra large grid calls will be 4. Then inside this we are going to have our investor profile card. So here we are going to create a reusable component for this investor card. So I'm going to create a new folder, new file inside the investor folder, and I'm going to name it investor card.tsx, and here I am going to use the RFC to create the component boilerplate. Now here I am going to use the investor card. Now we have to pass some props in our investor card. So first one is the image, and here for the image we have images slash i1 dot jpg. Then we're going to pass the invest amount. So for this, give a random number. Then we're going to pass the name. So for this, John. Now we have to receive these props in our investor card. So for this, here we are going to define the props type. So here type props, and here we are receiving an image of string, then a invest of string, and then a name of string. Now we are going to pass these props in our component, and then I'm going to import our image, then invest, and then name. Now in the investment card, the first div we have a class name of bg blue 900 and padding of 6. Then inside this we have the image. So for this I'm going to use the Next.js image component, and here the source will be the image prop that we are receiving. For the alt I'm going to use the name, then we have width of 300 and height of 300, and class name of margin top will be minus margin top 12. That's it. If I save and check, so you can see this is our image box. Then we have a p tag for the name, and this p tag have a class name of padding top of 14, text will be white, text lg, then text will be center. Next we have a p tag, and this is for the invest. This p tag have a class name of padding top of 2, Then we have text opacity of 80. Text will be beige. Text will be yellow 400. And if I save and check, so here we have name and the investment. So here we are missing a class name which is text center. So now if I say, now it's looking good. I think we have a, so here the empty will be, margin top will be 6. And here we have a dollar sign. Now if I say, now it's looking good. Then we have this social icons. So after this key tag we have social icons. So for this I am going to declare a div with a class name of margin top of 4. Text will be white. Flex items will be center. Justify will be center. And SpaceX will be 4. And inside this div we have FF. Sorry for this. So inside this we have FA Facebook F. Then we have an icon for Twitter, so FA Twitter. These icons are coming from the React icon. Then we have FA LinkedIn. Then we have FA Instagram. So now if I save, now you can see this looks very nice. Now we have to create 3 more. So for this I am going to open the investor and I am going to copy this. Three more time. So this is the first one. Then we have the second one. I'm going to change the image source and the name. Then this will be I3. WebDev. Then I4. And name. Now if I save, and this will be the 2, then is the third card, and this is the fourth card. So this looks very nice, but there is something missing, which is the gap. So here we have a gap of 12. And now if I say, now it's looking very nice. Let me show you the responsiveness for this theme section. So if I inspect and if I select mobile devices, you can see it's fit perfectly in mobile devices, and in iPad devices it also looks very nice. So our top investor section is completed. Next we are going to build the client review section. So if I show you the client review, here you can see, here we have a beautiful slider for our client review section. So now we are going to build this section. For this I'm going to create a new folder inside my home folder, and I'm going to name it review. And here I'm going to create a file called review.tsx. And here I'm going to create the component boilerplate using the RAFC, and then I'm going to add this in my home component. So here I'm going to add our review. So here you can see we have our review text. Now for the review section, the first div, we have a class name of padding top of 20, padding bottom of 60, and background color is hash 6a 1 5 e1. So now if I save, you can see we have the background color. Then inside this div, we have our section heading. So section heading. Here I am going to import our section heading component from the helper folder, and for the text here, for the heading, we will give client review. So if I hit save, here you can see we have our section heading. Then here we are going to create a reusable component, a separate component, which is a review slider, and then we are going to add this in our review folder. By splitting the code, it will be easy for us to maintain the code, to find bug, and we can change things easily if we separate components in smaller part. So here we have our review slider, and here we have a div with class name of width 4/5, then margin top will be 16, image will be auto, review slider div, and inside this we have our review slider component. So I'm going to create a new component here, which is review slider dot CSS, and I'm going to create the component boilerplate into RAFC, and then here I'm going to add our review slider component. So that's it. Now you can see here we have our review slider text. Now go to the review slider folder, and for the sliding we are going to use a npm package called React Multi Carousel. So go to the browser and search for React Multi Carousel. So for the sliding we are going to use this React Multi Carousel npm package. So first go to their GitHub page, then we are going to install this package. So for this, copy this npm script, and then here I'm going to paste it. You can learn more about these packages. Here you can see the setup, the props they are receiving, and they have a very detailed code, detailed description for you to learn. You do not need to learn everything here. So first import these two lines. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Then we need this responsive variable for responsive design to our slider. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. And for the desktop, the mean size will be 1324, and item will be 3, and one item will be slide. So slides to slide will be 1. For the tablet, we have 1324, and the minimum will be 764, and item will be 2 in the screen, and one item will be slide. And in mobile devices, will be starting from 764, items will be 1, and slides to slide will be 1. Then here I'm going to remove this div, and here we have our carousel, and this carousel receives some parameter. So first one is additional transform will be 0, then arrows will be true, then we have autoplay will be true, then we have autoplay speed will be 5000 millisecond, means 5 seconds. Center mode will be false, then infinite will be true, and responsive will be our responsive variable, and finally the item class will be item. And for now I am going to declare a div here. And one thing that you need to keep in mind, that to use these packages you have to convert this component into a client component. So I'm going to convert it into a client component using the use client text in the top. So now inside this carousel I'm going to create another reusable component, which is review card. So here we are using another component, review card. So I'm going to create this component here, review card.tsx, and here I'm going to use RAFCE to create the component, and here I'm going to add the review card. So review card, that's it. And this review card receives some props. So the first prop is the image. First one have our images slash c1.png, and then it receives a name. So I'm going to give my name here, and we have 4 of the review card. That's why I'm going to copy it 3 more times. Then for this one we have C2, and C3, and C4, and I'm going to change the name here. Then we have so that's it. Now we are going to receive this prof and then start building our review card component. So for this I'm going to open my review card section, and here I'm going to define our props type. So for this I'm going to create a type of props, and here we are receiving an image type of string, and then we are receiving a name type of string, and here we are going to pass our prop, and here image and name. Now for the first div we have a class name of p6 m4, background color will be hash 032055. So if I save here and go to our project, So here you can see we have our slider which is working perfectly. Then we have our review code. So after this div we have another div. This is for the review star. So this div have a class name of flex. Items will be center, SpaceX will be 2, and margin top will be 4. Then inside this div we are going to use a icon called FA star, and it's coming from React icons, and the icon have a class name of width of 4, height of 4, text color will be yellow 500, and I'm going to copy it 5 more times, and then I'm going to save it. Now if I check, here you can see we have our icons just like this. Then we have a p tag for our review text, and here we have a p with lorem 15. So I'm going to use the lorem ipsum to generate some random text, and here the class name will be margin top will be 4, text color will be white, text opacity will be 70. So if I save and check, so this is the review text. Then we have the profile picture. So then we have the profile. So here we have a div with class name of flex, margin top will be 8, item center, SpaceX will be 4, and inside this div we have another div, and inside this div we have a image which is coming from our next image, and inside this image the source will be image, and then a alt, and here we are going to use the name, then width will be 60 and height will be 60. So if I save and check, so here we have our profile image. So this image is not working, so let's check. So here we are missing a .png. So now if I save, now it's appear. Next, after this div we have another div, and here we have a h1 with the name, and then a p tag. Here we are going to use CEO, comma WED, WDE, WDW, WebDev audio. So this h1 have a class name of text LG. Then we have text of white, and uppercase. Then for the p tag we have a class name of empty2, then text 15 pixel, text will be white, and text opacity will be 70, and here margin top will be 0.3 RAM. Now if I save and check, so it's looking very nice. Let me show you the responsiveness. So if I inspect, and for the mobile devices, you can see we have one card and we have the sliding feature also. And if I select another screen sizes like iPad mini, here you can see we have two slider and it's also work properly. So our client review section is completed. Next, we are going to build the block section. So if I show you the block section, so this is our latest block section where we have an image and title and read more button. Now we are going to build this section. To build this, I am going to create another new folder inside my home folder and I am going to name it blog. And inside this folder, I am going to create a new file called blog.tsx. And I'm going to use the RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home component. So blog. So here you can see we have our blog text. Then for the first div, we have a class name of padding top of 20, padding bottom of 16, and we are going to apply a background of hash 001232. Then we have our section heading. So section heading. I'm going to import the section heading component from the helper folder, and here for the heading we have latest blog. So if I save and show you, so this is our background and this is the section heading. Then we are going to define our grid system because we are going to divide our block in three parts for three block cards. So define the grid system. So for the div, we have a class name of width 4x5 for 80%, mx will be auto, margin top will be 16. We are going to use grid calls 1 for small devices, and in medium grid calls will be 2, and in large grid calls will be 3, and gap will be 4. No, gap will be 8. Then here we have a div. So here we are going to use a reusable component which is block card. So block card component. So I'm going to create the component inside the block folder and I'm going to name it block card.tsx, and here I'm going to use the RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then here I'm going to add our block card. So this block card component, this is the one component. So this block card component, we are going to give some props. So first one is the image. So we are going to pass images, and for the first one we have v1.jpg, and then we are going to pass a title. For this one I'm going to pass 10 reason to invest for your future. Now we have to receive these props and give them proper prop definitions, type definition, and then add to the component. So for this, here I'm going to give a comment of define props type. So here we are using type props, and here we are receiving an image of type string, and then a title which is also type string. Now here I'm going to pass the props and I'm going to import the image and title. Now for the first div of the block card, we have a class name of, no, we do not have any class name here. Inside this div we have our image. So for this I'm going to use the Next.js image component. I'm going to import it from next image, and here for the source we're going to use the image that we are receiving from our props. Then for the alt we're using the title. Then we have width of 400, then height of 400, and then we have a class name of object cover, and rounded 3x. So if I save and check, so here we have our image with rounded shape. Then we have our date, title, and read more button. So for this, after the image we have a div, and this div have a class name of flex. Margin top will be 14, margin top will be 10, margin top will be 6, so 1.5 rem. Then we have items of center, and SpaceX will be 4. Then inside this div we have a span, and here we have the date, so 10 April 20 April 2040. Then we have another span which is by admin. So this span have a class name of text 15 pixel, text color will be white, text opacity will be 60, and we have the same styling for the second span. So I'm going to copy it here. Now if I check, here we have our date and admin. Next, after the div we have a h1 for the title. This h1 have a class name of margin top of 4, cursor will be pointer, text will be extra large, text color will be white, font semi bold, underline. So after the h1 we have a p, read more. This p tag have a class name of text lg, cursor will be pointer, margin top will be 4, text will be white, and it will be underline. So if I save and check, so this looks very nice. Now we have two more of that, and we are using this reusable component. That's why we can just copy this. So if I copy and change the comment by 2, and then change the image to b2, and then the title to 5 reason, and then I'm going to copy it again, and this will be the third, B3, and let's give it a 7 result. So now if I check, you can see we have our 2 more cards, which looks very nice, similar to this one. Now let me show you the responsiveness, and if I select mobile devices, here you can see everything looks very nice, very premium. So if I select another mobile devices, you can see it looks nice. And if I select iPad mini, here you can see it's also looking very nice. So our block section is completed. Next we are going to build the footer section. So let me show you the footer section. So this is our footer section, where we have some footer link and a copyright text. So to build this, I am going to create a new folder in my home component, and I am going to name it footer. And inside this folder, I am going to create a new file called footer.tsx. And here I am going to use RAFCE to create the component boilerplate. And then I am going to add this in our layout component. So in our layout folder, I am going to add our footer so that all the page can have this footer attached to it. I'm going to add my footer here. Now if I check, so here you can see we have our footer text. Now for the first div, we have a class name of padding top of 12 and background of hash 5306E0. So now if I check, so this is our background, and here we also have a padding bottom of 12. Then inside this div we are going to define our grid system, because we have 4 parts and we are using grid to divide the footer into 4 parts. So now first we have a div with a class name of width 4x5, mx will be auto. Then we have grid equals 1 for smaller devices. Then we have border bottom of 1.5 pixel. Then we have border bottom of slate 300 and padding bottom of 8. And in medium we have grid calls of 2, and in large we have grid calls 3, and in extra large we have grid calls of 4. Then we have gap of 8, and items will be start. Then here we have our first part of the footer. Here we have a div with class name of, in large screen we have mx auto, otherwise mx will be 0. Then inside this div first we have our logo. So logo, for the logo I am going to open my Navbar. So inside the Navbar we have the logo, so I am just going to copy this, and then I am going to paste it in my footer. So first we have the logo, then we have a P with some text, so lorem 8, and this P tag have a class name of text of white, text opacity will be 60, and then margin top will be 2. Now if I save and check, so here we have our text and we have our logo and some text. Then we have this email and phone number, demo email and phone number. So after this P1, we have another P tag, and here we have support at gmail.com. Then we have another P tag for our demo mobile number. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. So the first P tag have a class name of margin top of 4, text white, and the second P tag have a class name of text red of text red 300, and text will be LG extra large, and font will be bold, and empty will be 2. And if I say, you can see it looks very nice. Then we have this part. So after the first part, then we have our second part of footer. Here first we have a div with class name of, in large screen we have mx auto, and otherwise mx will be 0. Then inside this div we have a h1 with a class name of text 17 pixel, text color will be white, then we have font of semi bold, margin bottom will be 6, 1.5 gram, and the text will be company. So if I say, here you can see we have our heading. So here we can use the large. So now it looks nice. Then after this h1 we have a p tag with class name of text white, opacity will be 80, margin bottom will be 4, text will be 15 pixel, cursor pointer in hover, text color will be yellow 300, yellow 300, then border b will be 2, border bottom 2, and we have a border dashed. So now here the text will be about. So if I save, here you can see we have the about text with some dashed border. So then I'm going to copy it 4 times. So after about we have affiliate, then we have carrier, and culture, then we have block, And finally we have pref. Now if I save and check, now it looks very nice. Then we have this information section which is similar to this one, so that's why I'm going to copy this one. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Here we have footer part 3. Here the title will be our information. Then for the link we have return policy, policy. Then we have private policy, privacy policy, return policy, privacy policy, and then we have terms and condition. Then we have sitemap, and finally we have store hours. And for the fourth part, I'm going to copy it one more time. So this is will be the footer part 4. Here the heading will be about us. Then here we have support center, then customer support, about us, copyright, and finally popular campaign. Popular campaign. Now if I check, so here you can see we have our footer links which looks very nice. Then we have this copyright text. So for this, after this div, we have copyright text. So here we have a div with, I'm going to copy the text here from the deployed version. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Then we have a class name of width 4x5, mx will be auto, margin top will be 4, text will be 15 pixel, text color will be white, opacity will be 75. Now if I save, now it looks very nice. Let me show you the responsiveness of our footer. So in the mobile devices, you can see everything fit perfectly and nicely. And if I select another type of devices, it's also fit perfectly. If I select the iPad mini, you can see it also looks very nice. So our footer section is completed. Next we are going to build the scroll to top button. So here you can see we have a button. So if I click here, it will go to the top, and you can see initially it is hidden, but if I scroll some distance, then it will appear to the screen. So now we are going to build this feature. So for this I am going to create a new file in my helper folder, and I'm going to name it scroll to top.tsx, and here I'm going to create a component and then I'm going to add this in my layout. So after the footer, we are going to add our scroll to top component. So it's here now, but we are going to design this. So first go to the scroll to top component, and we are going to make it a client component, because here we are going to use effect. So I'm going to make it a client component. Then here I'm going to create a state variable. So const is visible, comma set is visible, and then I'm going to use the use state, and initially it will be false. Then we are going to use our use effect hooks. So use effect, and inside this we are going to check. So we are going to check if window dot scroll y, if window dot scroll y is greater than 300 pixel, then we are going to set our is visible to true. Else we are going to set our is visible to false. Then we are going to clean up our, then we are going to add a event listener to our window. So window dot add event listener, and in the scroll event listener we are going to call this toggle visibility. So here we have a mistake, that is we have to create a function here. So const toggle visibility function, and it will be an arrow function, and inside this function we have this condition. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and in the Windows scroll event listener we are going to call this toggle visibility function, and then we are going to remove the event listener and clean up for this use effect function. So here return will be an arrow function, then we are going to use, so we are going to use this, but instead of add event listener we are going to use remove event listener. So remove event listener. So that's it. Then we are going to create another function called scroll to top. So in this function it will be an arrow function, and here we are going to set our window dot scroll to, and we are going to the top of 0, and then the behavior will be smooth. So that's it. So that is the function that will go to the top. So then inside this div we have a class name of fixed, bottom will be 4, and we are going to use animate pulse, which is from Tailwind CSS, and then right will be 4. Then inside this we are going to check if is visible is true, then we are going to show a button, and the button text will be inside this button we are going to have a arrow icon. So fa arrow up, fa arrow up, FA ARROW. So arrow. We're going to use this icon inside this button, and this button have a class name of bg 500. Then we have text of white. Then we have rounded full, width of 12, height of 12, and it will be flex. Items will be center, justify center, and in focus we have outline of none. Outline none. So that's it. Now let's check if it's working or not. So here we have some problem. It's always showing, and if I click here, it's doing nothing. So for this, first this button we have a on click. So on click we are going to use our scroll to top function, and then we have use effect toggle visibility to set our visible state true if it is greater than 300 and false otherwise. Then in scroll we are going to add this function, and in we are going to remove this. Now let's check. If I refresh, you can see initially the button is hidden, but if I scroll some distance it will show up. So if I go to the bottom and then click here, it will come to the top with very smooth scrolling. So this feature works properly. Next, we are going to add some animation in our project for more user attraction. So if I show you the animation, so if I reload, you can see here we have an animation, then we have this scroll animation happening, which looks very nice. You can see we have very nice scroll animation here. So now we are going to implement this. To implement this, we are going to use a npm package called AOS, which is animation on scroll. So go to their GitHub pages. Here you can see the animation. Here if I scroll, you can see they have fade up, fade down, fade right, fade left, and a lot of animation, lot of different type of animation. So what you need to do, you just need to add this data attribute in your div or in your component that you are going to animate. So you just need to add this. So you can see they have a lot of different types of animation. Now click here to go to their GitHub pages, and then I'm going to install their packages using the npm script. So I'm going to copy this, and then here I'm going to paste it and run it. So it will install the AOS in our project. Next, I'm going to open my home component, and I'm going to make it a client component, because here we are going to use some use effect hooks. So that's why I'm going to make it a use client to make it a client component. Then here we are going to set up our AOS. So here they have a very nice documentation. You can read it to learn more about these packages. So first we need to import this AOS and styling for our project. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Then here you can see they have a TypeScript error. To solve this, we just have to install this typing for our project. So I'm going to copy it and paste it here, and then I'm going to hit run. Then it will install the necessary types for this AOS. So you can see now it's gone. Now inside our home, I'm going to use our use effect, and then here I'm going to create an arrow function, and inside this I'm going to create a function called init aos, which will be an async function, and inside this I'm going to use await import aos. Then we have aos dot init, and here we are going to pass some parameter. First one is the duration. So for the duration we have 1000 millisecond, which is 1 second. Then we have easing. For this I'm going to use is. Then we have once, and I'm going to give it a value of true. And finally we have anchor placement. For the anchor placement, here I'm going to use top bottom. So then we have to call this function. So here I'm going to call our init aos function, and that's it. And here we have to pass this in our use effect. So our aos is initialized successfully. Next, we are going to add our animation first in this hero section. So for this I'm going to open the hero folder and hero.txt, and here for the h1 we have data dash aos, and here we are using fade right. Then for the p we are going to use data dash aos to fade left, and here we are going to use some delay, so that first this animation happens and then after some delay this animation will be happen. So here we have data dash aos dash delay equal to 200 millisecond. Next, for this div we are going to use a data dash aos equal to, and here we are going to use fade left. No, we are going to use zoom in for this, and we are going to use data dash aos dash delay, and we are going to give some delay of 400 millisecond. Then after this div, for the button I'm going to copy this, and for the button we have zoom out, and the aos will be 600 millisecond. Then for the image div we have fade left, so here we have fade left, and we have delay of 800 millisecond. Now if I show you and if I refresh here, you can see our animation works properly. Then we have animation in our about us section. So I'm going to open my about us section. So these are about section, and here only the image have the animation. So the image have data dash aos zoom in, and here we do not need any delay. So I'm going to save it, and now if I check, so first we have this and then this animation. So here we have another property which is data dash aos dash anchor dash placement. So we are going to make this anchor placement to top center. So now if I save and if I reload the page, so we have this animation, then we have this about us section animation. Then we have animation for our feature section. So for this I am going to open my feature section, and feature section, for the first feature card we have data dash aos to fade left. So here we have fade left and delay of, so we do not need any delay for the first one. And then we have data dash aos dash anchor placement will be top center. Then I'm going to copy this, and for the second one we have fade left and data aos anchor placement will be top center, but here we are going to use a delay. So data dash aos dash delay will be 200 milliseconds. Now I'm going to copy this three, and for the third one we have 400 milliseconds for the delay, and for the fourth one we have 600 milliseconds, and that's it. Now if I save and show you the result, so if I refresh here, you can see we have this hero section animation, then about us, and then this feature section animation. Then we have our pricing section animation. So for this I'm going to open my, so I'm going to copy these three, and then I'm going to open my pricing section, and here for the first card I'm going to paste it, and here we have paid right. So paid right, and for the first one we do not need our, so I'm going to copy this and then remove this. For the first one we do not need any delay, and for the second one we are going to have a delay of 200 milliseconds, and for the third one we have a delay of 400 milliseconds. So I'm going to save this, and then let's check. So if I reload, you can see we have this hero section, then we have this about us, then this feature section, and then pricing section. Next we have this advantage section animation. So for this I'm going to open my advantage section, and here the image will be animated. So here I'm going to paste the previous aos property, and here we have zoom out. So zoom out, and we do not need any delay. So now I'm going to save this, and if I refresh again, so this animation, if I refresh here, so then we have this about us section animation, then white choosers, then pricing section, and then advantage section. Then we have to animate this investor section. So now I'm going to open the investor section, and I'm going to paste it the previous aos, and here we have zoom in, and for the first one we do not need any delay, and the second one we are going to have a delay of 200 milliseconds. For the third card we are going to have a 400 milliseconds, and for the fourth card we have 600 milliseconds. Now I'm going to save, and then I'm going to refresh the page. So our hero section animation, then this about us, then why chooses, then pricing section, advantage section, and then we have our investor section animation. And finally we have to animate our block section. So for this I'm going to open my block, and for the block I'm going to copy the previous command, and here we are going to use zoom out. I'm going to copy this, and for the first one we do not need any delay. For the second one we are going to have a delay of 200 milliseconds. For the third one we have 400 milliseconds, and I'm going to save this and let's check. So if I refresh again, you can see hero section animation, then about us section, then why choose us section, then pricing section, advantage section, top investor section, then our block section. So our every animation looks perfect. So our animation is completed. Now finally we are going to deploy our project in Vercel. So for that, first we have to push our project in GitHub. That's why I am going to open my GitHub, and then here I am going to create a new repository, and I'm going to name it investment web app, and I'm going to make it a private repository, and then I'm going to create repository. So next I'm going to close my terminal, and here first I have to run the command git init, and then git add dot to add our file, and then git commit, and then a message. For this one I'm going to give first commit. So we have done this. Now we have to do this. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Then we had to add our remote origin, so I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and then git push. So I'm going to copy this and then paste it here. So it will push our project in GitHub. So it will take time based on your internet speed, and mine was complete. So I'm going to refresh here, and you can see we have our project in GitHub. Now open your Vercel dashboard. If you do not have any dashboard, you have to sign up for free. Then I'm going to click here to add new project, and then here you have to connect your git repository here, and mine was already connected. Here you can see I have this investment web app that I recently added in my GitHub. So I'm going to import this one, and then simply click here to deploy. Now it will deploy our project in the Vercel. So let's wait some time to finish this deployment. Our deployment is completed. Now go to the dashboard. Then you have a custom domain here. You have a domain given by this Vercel app. So just click here. Then it will open your project in Vercel. So if I reload, you can see the animation works properly. We have our nav links, our button. So if I scroll, you can see we have our scroll animation, our pricing section, advantage section, top investor section, client review, latest blog, and here we have this scroll to top button. And let's check our responsiveness. So in mobile devices, our sidebar works properly, every section fit perfectly here. And if I select another type of device like iPad mini, it's also looking very nice. So everything works perfectly. Now you have a URL that you can share to your client, and you can add this to your resume also. So this is the project for today. If you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel for more interesting Next.js 14 project. So thank you for today.